back to Save Your Game. I'm Nathan, and today we're going to take a look at Stormweavers, which is a solo tabletop game from Pawel Dziemski and Other Worlds and Hexy Studio. This is something I backed on Kickstarter. It is a solo tabletop game, and the things that you get are pretty manageable. You just get this particular book, and if you backed at the level I did, you get some cutouts, little standees of the hero, and monsters and anything else you're going to face as you go through this story. But this book is described as the mixture of a storybook and a source book for an RPG. So this is really all that you need to begin playing, this and some dice. So I thought it'd be cool if we take a look at the introduction together. We look at how the game plays and how it works. If it's something you're interested in, you can check it out. And it might not be something I'd continue to do on the channel because it's basically me just reading a novel, and that might be incredibly boring, but maybe not. We'll see how it goes. But this is the introduction to Stormweavers. We play a dwarven character named Timon, and we'll see what he has to get into in just a moment. There are a couple things that you have to do before you begin your playthrough of Stormweavers. The first is you need to create a character. You need to dive into the character sheet and make up your version of Timon. There's some base stats that are all the same when you start Stormweavers, but there are two that you can dictate how they change as the game goes on. The first stat you'll have is a speed stat, and you have a base speed of 2. That's movement that you'll use within combat and other ability checks. You also have a dex score, which starts at a base of 5, and a wisdom score that starts at a base of 5. You have a pool of 4 resource points that you can put into those 2 categories and change the build however you want to, but I just added 2 points each into dex and wisdom. That way you have a little bit of an even character. You also have a weapon bonus skill that starts at 0, an armor class skill that starts at 0, and you start with 50 gold and 20 health. And you get this character sheet in the pack that you can fill out all those stats on. You also start with a basic axe to fight with. As you go through the story of Stormweavers, there will be times when the book tells you to test an attribute. And to do so, you'll take 2d6 and roll them. Now, what you want to do in order to pass the test is to have a lower value than your particular attribute score. So say you're making a dex check, you'll roll 2d6. In this case, we got a 5. Our dex is set at 7 here at the beginning of the adventure, so we would actually pass that test. There's also a lot that goes into combat. We'll talk about that more when we get into it. So without further ado, let's jump into Stormweavers. After a 5-day trudge, you have a feeling that instead of legs, you've got 2 logs, painful logs. Half a year ago, you joined the Free Dwarf Company in the human King Ernan's service. You've walked the length and breadth of Flandria with them, but you still can't get used to the pace that the veterans impose. The core of the company comprises your kinsmen from Caledonia, marching proudly in their tartan kilts. The howl of dwarven bagpipes carries over the plain. So at least some of you are in good spirits. The evening has come. You stopped at the edge of the plain near the woods. After an hour, royals have joined the enormous company of men, tents and pennants. You feel safer having them around. You set up your tent and sit by the bonfire with your comrades, puffing your pipe. You've reached a place where there is no turning back, the battlefield. Who knows whether this evening is your last or not? The morale is high for everyone at the moment. Where's Cahir? Young Nali asks. Have the deliberations ended? I'm here, says Cahir McBrew, the captain of the Free Dwarf Company, as he joins the circle of warriors and sits on a tree stump right in front of you. Tomorrow we'll take the left flank, he shortly announces. After a moment, he continues, I've heard Fomorians have joined the enemy. For a brief moment, there is a heavy silence among the warriors. Nobody dares to speak. Phew, Nolly pulls himself up, grimaces and spits. Buck's offspring, pure evil, gods damn them. At least it will be clearly written in the chronicles who was right in this war and who wasn't. He adds quietly after a moment, while sitting back in his place, "What do you think, Timon? Will they describe us as the good ones or the bad ones?" "It depends on whether we win or lose," you answer without taking your eyes off the fire. "History is written by the winners. Besides, what does that mean to us, good or bad? We must march through mud, bash with an axe, break skulls. That's our job. It's war. If there is no provisioning, we must rob peasants, finish off enemies after the fight. Long talk, and for what? Enough songs about it." Ah, old Bomir finally frowns. "I don't like this type of gallows humor, especially before the fight. Only you seem to be laughing about this. Let's go to sleep." Senectitude has spoken. Wisdom has spoken. Cahir says, "All to your tents. Tomorrow is a big day." At night, you dream about the kingdom under the mountain, where you grew up, and about your father's wanderings. He was a sellsword, a mercenary. He came back once a year, bringing money. He always said that the mine wasn't for him and that he preferred to die from an axe rather than pneumonia or black lung. When your father was not around, you didn't listen to your mother, you and your brothers. Now and then you'd run away to wander outside the city walls. You wanted to be just like him. Your mother was getting angry and hopeless when you'd come back all dirty and ripped clothes. Yet you'd get into a fight, but there was always a warm supper waiting for you. Dreaming. It is one of your adventures. You are climbing steep stairs to the mountain of listening, step after step. But the stairs seem to have no end. At some time you reach the top, look far into the north. You see a black tower looming in the distance. You look at it for a really long time. Too long. Suddenly a muffled sound disturbs your sleep. You grab the axe and run out into the night. There is turmoil in the camp. The royal tent burns in the middle of the place. Plenty of soldiers everywhere out shouting each other. "Put down the fire! Catch! Fight the enemy!" and hundreds of curses, of course. In the fiery blaze, you see Nolly running towards you. "What's going on?" you shout. Outshout the racket. "They tried to kill the king. That's what's going on." Nolly shouts back while running. "A spy snuck into the camp and set the king's tent on fire. Thank God the crown is unharmed. Whoever's alive seeks the culprit." He threatens the unknown saboteur with his fists and disappears in the darkness. You stand in place for a while, gathering your thoughts, and all of a sudden you seem to see some kind of movement behind the trees. Okay, so our first attribute test is here. This is a dexterity check. If you want to dive into the darkness, hoping to catch the spy, you can check dex, and on a success, you move to F6. On a failure, you move to F11. If you want to sneak up slowly and cautiously to search through the bushes, you can check your wisdom. And on a success or failure, you move to different passages. So you could throw an axe into the blurry shadows. If you want to call for backup, you can do that. And if you think it might have been an illusion, and you go back to your tent to get some sleep before the fight, the king is safe after all. Go to F5. Let's do this. Let's try to sneak up and slowly and cautiously to search through the bushes. We're going to check wisdom. Now we need to roll lower than a 7. And we have a 7, and we can see on this nice quick reference card that comes with the book that if the score is less or equal to the tested attribute, it's a success. So we succeeded in sneaking into the bushes. So we'll move on to F10. Here's what that says. Oops. You run among the trees in a direction where you just saw a shadow. There's a dark silhouette engraved in your mind. It's becoming more and more familiar. Suddenly you realize that what you have seen might have just been a fomerag, a horned creature of the darkness, an Irish aboriginal. A senseless chase does not seem like a good idea. You start searching the woods slowly and methodically, moving in half circles around the area where the creature might have run. After half an hour, you notice hoof prints in the wet ground. You follow this trace and luckily find a bizarre object nearby, an iron charm in the shape of an unfamiliar god. The chain is broken, so you suspect that the spy might have lost it on the run. You feel an unpleasant tingle while holding it in your hands. However, you decide to take it. When fighting such an enemy as a Fomereg, it is worth being familiar with his tricks. Add iron charm to your equipment. Cool. We'll do that. We have a space for equipment here on our character sheet. We'll see what happens next. You return to camp and report to Kahir. He listens to you carefully and goes to the headquarters with the dispatch. There's nothing more you can do, so you have some rest. On the morrow, morning, cold and nippy wind. The company stands at the edge of a forest on a protruding hill. Rays of the rising sun shine through clouds and onto the plain. Your position gives you a great view on the enemy army. Taking their position down in the valley, there are a lot more of them than you've expected. So many more. The valley glows with the red blaze of pennants and flags. You wait patiently to see which positions they will take. Kahir silently puffs his pipe, like there's nothing important going on. Meanwhile, the sun completely breaks through the clouds, and another hot day begins. It is a good day to die, Nali says. A good day for them to die, you reply with a grin. Okay, to battle. Kahir breaks the silence suddenly and blows a whistle 3 times. You stride down the hill and stand close to each other, with the rest of the dwarf company, forming a well-trained battlement of the northern folk. All of you adjust weapons, checking that all the shields of your comrades touch edge to edge, forming the unbreakable wall. You wait. The sun slowly moves through the sky. The tension is difficult to manage, even by the most experienced sellswords. Finally, you can hear a clop of the hooves of a horse from afar, and a royal messenger appears. He approaches and speaks with the captain for a brief moment, delivering the orders. All right, chaps, Kahir calls loudly when the conversation is over. First, the royal cavalry advances, then the rest of us follow. The cavalry charges the middle, and we take over the left flank. We'll crush these buckhorns, stick together, and bring down the mountain on them. I love doing accents, but I'm not that great at it. Horns blast, and the wind starts to blow as if at a signal, flapping the light blue pennants of the dwarven free company. The ground trembles with the growing thunder of hundreds of horses' hooves. Hundreds of horses' hooves. While the charge of the King Ermin's heavy cavalry pours down the valley, with golden banners cascading over their heads. Kahir gives the signal to attack, whistling again with a piercing warble. You hear the keening, and then the howl of bagpipes. At an even pace, you go down the valley, shield to shield. They are already waiting for you, of course. Fomorians, pitch-black, shaggy buckhorns, broods of the night. At least you're the same height. It crosses your mind, so it'll be easier to cut their heads off. Hopefully they don't have your sleazy wiles with them, you add in your mind. You hate the wiles. In your entire life, you've only met one that was decent. But to tell the truth, him too, a swine. You move to attack. You nearly have them under your axe when suddenly you can hear horns playing, but they sound different than yours. The ground trembles again. Buckhorns fan out, and first you see blood-red banners emerge from the battle dust, then a charge of enemy cavalry moving towards you. Kahir blows the whistle 2 times. You stop on command, stick your shields in the ground and prepare axes. There's no time to think. Horrifying turmoil goes over your head as the heavy riders charge into the ranks with the force of a battering ram. You stand on the left side, the last one on the first row. The enemy's lance pounds into you with an enormous force, pushing you back. The impetus of the charge makes you drop your shield and fall into nearby bushes. Unfortunately, there is a bluff behind the bushes. You roll down the hill and fall down into the stream. You brush yourself off. Nothing's broken. You hear the sounds of the battle above you. And then you notice that you are not alone. Before you even start to think, 2 Fomorians charge at you, followed by the ugly curses of a while. He shoots a firebolt out of his crooked staff. You dodge at the last moment. Fomorians rush towards you. Defend yourself. Okay, so here we have our first battle map, and I'll get that set up, and we'll continue. Okay, so we've got all of our standees set out on this map, and all of this comes with the game if you get it. And we've set up the battlefield based on the instructions in our particular section of the book. So you got this nice grid guide here. The other thing that is nice, I think I've mentioned it before, is you've got this quick reference guide, and we'll run through how combat works here in just a second. So we're going to read a little bit more of what the book has to tell us about this particular encounter, and then we'll go from there. Here's our hero. Here's Timon. And he starts in this stream area here. So the Fomorian speed, that's these guys up here, is 2. That's the same as our speed. And for some reason, it seems that the Fomorians can't cross the stream. If any of them falls into the stream, they lose 2 points of health. We also have a speed of 2. When you walk into the stream, you have to stop. When fighting a character that is in the stream during the fight, deduct 2 points from their dexterity. So whenever he acts, the Weil won't attack with his bare hands. Instead, they will try to burn you with a fire coming out of his staff. The reach of the fire is 4 squares in a straight line. First, you need to check his wisdom. And if it's a failure, it means that he shot one of the Fomorians. A roll of the dice will show how many injuries he has caused. You choose which Fomorian gets hit. If it's a success, check your wisdom once again and try to defend yourself. If you succeed, your assumption where he'd directed the fire was correct, and you jump to the side and avoid getting hit. If you fail, determine the amount of injuries with a roll of a dice and deduct the score from your health. We have 20 health. I've put these little cubes aside as our health counters. We can also track it on our character sheet, but I just find it a little nicer to have something tactile. So we also found that iron charm, which is going to protect us from the heat. Instead of get burned, we just feel a hot wind, and if you get hit with a fire spell, instead of checking the amount of injuries by rolling a dice, always deduct just 1 point from your health. So as soon as you move into a square adjacent to one of the stone cromlechs, I'm assuming that's one of these, we go to F14. If we defeat all the enemies, go to F2, and if our health drops below 5, go to F3. So let's run through combat real quick. We'll keep this close by. So each combat has a number of rounds, as you can see here on the reference card. First, our character is going to move, then they will attack, then enemy 1 would move, enemy 1 would attack, enemy 2 would move, enemy 2 would attack, and so on and so forth through every enemy until all enemies have performed their action, and then the next round starts. When we're attacking, we want to roll our dexterity plus a d6 plus any modifiers. Right now we won't have any. And then it will also roll a defense result. And that'll be the defender's dex plus a d6 plus any modifiers. At this point, we see who wins, basically just who has the higher number. And then we calculate how many injuries are here as well after we decide who wins. If the attacker wins, we take the attack result minus the defense result plus the attacker's weapon bonus minus the defender's AC, and that's how many wounds or injuries are inflicted. And then if the defender wins, we have the defense result minus the attack result plus the defender's WB, their weapon bonus, minus the attacker's AC. So it's a good bit of math, but as we do it often, I think it'll come into play. But there's also some modifiers we can do here. A charge attack, we attack directly after moving 2 squares. We add +1 to the attack. We can also have a flanking modifier. When we're outflanked by 2 enemies, we deduct a dex 2 and 3 for every subsequent enemy. We do a cunning strike. We can check our wisdom, and if we have a success, you give 3 wounds. On a failure, you get 3. A push, if a character gets 3 or more wounds, he is moved by 2 squares in the same direction as the push. And to push the obstacle, if a character is pushed into an obstacle, we deduct 1 health. Yeah, so a lot to think about actually in this simple little storybook game. Let's go ahead and get started on our first combat encounter here in Stormweavers. Okay, so looking at our combat flow here, we know that we're gonna move first. So we'll take 2 points of movement and move right up here next to one of these stone arches. And we know, based on what the book tells us, that we have text to read because we're next to that cromlech, which is F14. So we'll go ahead and turn to that now. So F14 says, you lean your back against the mossy stones of an ancient structure and hope that it'll provide some protection from the enemies. Do you have your iron charm with you? We do. Okay, so we move on, and this is what the next section reads. The air electrifies. You can feel that the iron charm vibrates and gets warmer by the minute. Suddenly you get hit in the back and fly through the air as if you were fired from a catapult. Move the character's figure 3 spaces in a straight line from the cromlech. If there's a stream in your way, you fall down and lose your move phase in the next round. If you fall into another cromlech, you lose d6 points of health. Gosh, okay. 1, 2, 3, we do. We fall down there on another stone structure, and we lose 3 health. So I'll take this away from our cubes. When you pull yourself together, you notice the charm is gone. There's only a chain left. Gosh, okay, well, there goes our protection from fire. And go back to F5, the battle continues. All right. That was our movement. Can't attack or move diagonally, only orthogonally. So that'll be the end of that turn. So next up will be the enemies. Fomereg 1 will move 1 and attack. So we need attack for them. And they actually have different stats for each enemy, which is kind of cool. Fomereg 1 has a dex of 6 and a wisdom of 5. The second one has a dex of 7 and a wisdom of 4. And the Weil has 7 dex and 9 wisdom. So it's kind of cool that there's not just a blank stat blocks for each enemy. Although it does mean for a good bit more math. Okay, so we're being attacked. And we need to take their dex plus their roll, and that'll be their attack roll. So they're going to get an 8. Let's roll a defense roll. It'll be our dex, which is 7. So that's we win with a 12. Okay, so now that we've rolled, we take the defender winning section here and add up all of these stats in the order of operations. So the defense result minus the attack result is 4. We add defender's weapon bonus minus the attacker's AC. In this case, both of these numbers are 0. Right now, we have no weapon bonus. The attacker has no particular AC. So the injuries inflicted are 4 because we have 12 minus 8 and then plus 0 minus 0. So in this case, we're going to inflict 4 injuries to the Fomereg, and we would actually push as well, but we can't do that or else they'd be off the map. Maybe we count this one extra one just to get them out of our space, because we push if a character gets 3 or more wounds. They're moved 2 squares in the same direction as the push. All right, next up is Fomereg number 2. He wants to do the same thing here. He'll move 1 of his 2 movement and make an attack roll. So his attack is actually a 9. His dex is a little bit higher. Let's roll our defense. All right, 2 plus 7, which is a 9. So we have a tie. And if that's the case, no injuries are inflicted. So let's move on down to the Weil's turn. Next up is this character, the Weil, and he has a ranged attack that he's going to want to do. But in order to get in range, he'll need to use his 2 movement. So he'll move 2 forward, 1, 2, right here. And then he will take a staff shot at us, which is a range of 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we need to first check his wisdom and see what happens there. So we'll roll 2d6. His wisdom is actually a 9. His wisdom's really good. So he needs to roll lower than a 9. And he did. That is a success. So if it's a success, we check our wisdom once again and try to defend. So our wisdom is a 7. And you roll lower than a 7 to succeed. We do not. We fail. So if you fail, determine the amount of injuries with a roll of the dice and deduct the score from our health. Okay, we don't have our charm anymore, so it's not just 1. We instead take 5 injuries. All right, and now we begin once again. So I wonder if we can't push an enemy into this creek. I'd like to try to do that. So we're going to move 1, 2 here. I guess we have to check that we're adjacent to the Cromlech again. So let's go there again. We want to read it again, but we now don't have our charm, so we'll go to F13. We will feel a pleasant warmth on your back. The sound of a gong rings through the air, and your right hand is tingling. You look in its direction and see that small, light blue thunderbolt run through and across the blade of your axe. In your heart, you thank unknown gods for their support and prepare for the next exchange of blows. For the duration of the combat, raise your armor class by 2. Nice. Okay, so now we can attack. Let's attack that Fomereg in front of us and hopefully push him down into the creek. So our roll is a 6. That's really good. Plus 7, so we have a total of 13. And let's roll there. I got 2d6 here, so I think I'm going to start rolling separately just so I remember. I need to see what their dex is going to be. Their dex is a little bit higher. It's a 7 as well. But they only rolled a 3, so we're going to win. So we have a difference there of 3. So let's calculate some injuries. So we have 3 plus the attacker's weapon bonus was 0, and defender's AC, which is 0. So we're going to deal 3 wounds to that guy, which is great because we're going to push him into the creek. 1, 2. So we'll make a mark here. Now lose 2 more points of health. All right, good. So now number 1 guy is going to go. And we can't move through obstacles, so I think you need to go 1, 2. The second guy will move back into combat 1, 2. Take a swipe at us. Attacker rolls an 8 total. We roll 8, 9 total. So we're going to deal another wound to him because we won that. And again, we're looking down here at calculating injuries. Look at the defense result. For us, it was a 9. The attack result was an 8, so we're minusing that number from that. So we have 1 plus defender's weapon bonus, which in this case is 1. Oh, but actually, we get to do more because our AC raised. So our AC is actually, no, we're not the attacker. We are the defender. Okay. This is a lot to keep in mind. Right. Yes, that was the second guy. Okay, so defenders, that's us. Our weapon bonus is 0. Attacker's AC is 0. Okay, so we won that roll with a 9. They only have a total of 8. So we look back at our injuries here, and that is 1 plus our defender's weapon bonus, which in this case is now right now a 0, and the attacker's AC, which is 0. So we're just going to deal 1 more wound to Fomereg 2. And we'll move on down to the Wild's turn. Now they are going to want to shoot this thing in a straight line, so I think they'll need to move over here. They can't move through obstacles, but it doesn't say anything about them not being able to shoot, so we'll say that he is able to shoot through that stone. So we have to go around. He may not have been able to go through there, but we'll just say he jumped up on top and shot. So let's check his wisdom. Which is +9. So he needs to roll lower than a 9 to succeed. And he doesn't. With double sixes, that is a failure. So a failure, he's going to shoot one of his buddies. A roll of the dice will show how many injuries he's caused, and we choose which Fomorian gets the hit. Okay. It says we choose after the roll. So let's roll and see who we could possibly take out. Roll the dice is for injuries on the fireball. 1. Okay, we'll have it go to Fomoreg 1 back there. So each of them now has 5 injuries, and only 3 more are needed to take them out. All right, so that's their turn. We're going to go back to the top. And we might as well try again and do what we're doing here and possibly hit the guy in front of us so we can possibly push him back into the creek again. So let's go ahead and roll our attack roll, which is going to be a total of 11. Let's roll their defense roll. Okay, I think we're going to win again, right, because their dex is 7, 8, and the difference there is 3. So indeed, we're going to deal 3 wounds and push, but it doesn't even matter if we push because that's all the health they had left. We have taken out our first guy. Fomoreg 2 is down. Bye, buddy. Oh, that's his back. See ya. Pretty cool looking little standees. I like it. Not every game has to have minis, you know? All right, so that was our turn. And let's go ahead and go through the enemy's turn. So he'll move up 1 and attack. So he'll roll a total of 9. Our defense will give us 9. So no injuries dealt if there's a tie. And the caster down there is going to attack us. He's well within range. Let's just say he moves back 2. He only has to get 4. Let's do a wisdom check for him. All right, so he succeeds because he needed to have less than a 9, which he does. He has 7. So we need to check our wisdom now. And we fail. If you fail, we determine how much our injuries are taken by rolling a dice. 3 more. A good chunk of health taken away. All right, so let's start again. We could be like misfiring because we could have chosen him to be hit by these fireball blasts if he missed. He's only missed it 1 time, but gotta remember that. It says one of the Fomorians, and he counts. He's a wild, but he's a Fomorian. The other guys are 4 eggs. And so they're calling these 3 enemies Fomorians, even though it seems like it's just the 2 melee guys. All right, let's attack the guy in front of us. We'll do our roll is an 11. The defense roll is a 10. So we're going to deal 1 wound, at least. Yeah, they don't have any... We don't do AC, we don't have any weapon bonus, so it's just 1 wound dealt. Well, he's gonna go. Okay, our roll there is an 8. I may have miscalculated his dex. I counted him as 7. Yeah, I think he gets 1 more wound because his dex is actually less than that. All right, so our roll, his roll here now is a 7 total. Let's roll defense for us. It's good. 13, so we're gonna win for sure. So with a total of 7, and we have a total of 13. 13 minus 7 is 6, plus our weapon bonus, minus their AC, which again is a 0. So 6 hits is beefy. Definitely enough to take that guy out. Right. He's gone now too. All right, next up is the caster. Let's make a wisdom save for him, which he succeeds. So we need to make a wisdom save now. All right, our save is a 6, so we save. We succeed, so our assumption of where he directed the fire was correct, and we can jump to the side to avoid getting hit. Awesome. I don't know if that means we literally get a point of movement, but yeah, I don't know. So on our turn, we'll move 2 towards him. On his turn, he'll move 1, try to attack us, 2, to get as far away as possible. And he needs to succeed on a 9 whiz save, which he does. So we need to make a wisdom save, which we fail. So now we roll the dice and see how many injuries we get from fireball, which is 2. All right, we're just gonna make our way to him. 1, 2, can't attack. He'll move 1, wisdom save a 9. He succeeds. We need to save on 7. We fail. Can't jump out of the way. So we'll take another point of damage. And now we get to get in his face. 1, 2. Let's make an attack. All right, our roll is 9. Let's see what his dex is going to be. Oh, pretty good, 11. So he wins. So we'll get hit for 2 points because it's 11 minus our attack result, which was 9, so 2. And now we actually get to work our AC into things here because we have an AC of 2. So it says defender's weapon bonus, which is 0, minus attacker's AC, which is 2. So it'd be -2 plus 2 is 0. So we don't get any wounds. I think I'm doing that right. I think we can go like negative into the damage. But just make sure I do that right. So 7 plus 4 is 11. That was his roll. 7 plus 2 is 9. 11 minus 9 is 2. Plus -2 is 0. So I think 0 wounds there taken. All right, now it's our turn. Let's attack him. All right, we got a 9. Well, no, this is his turn. This is his turn, actually. So we need to make a wisdom save. That was our turn. So wisdom save here is a success. Wisdom save for us is a fail. We'll take, oh no. That is all our health. 6 points of damage to us. Uh-oh. There's special instructions way down at the bottom of the quick reference card that say if you're in the northern border and your health is equal to 0, go to a particular different passage. So we didn't just get knocked out and fall out. Something else happens. We're in the abyss. It says you are falling down. Time stands still and you can't say whether seconds, minutes, or days have passed by. You are falling. The blackness moves in front of your eyes, but is it blackness or nothingness? You are falling. Stars are spinning around. Now, we roll the dice. On a 2, we go to 226. It says the alcove. You're standing in the middle of a square room. A warm summer wind with a scent of lilac comes through the wide open windows, large and spacious windows. A young woman in an expensive blue dress is thrashing about the room. The woman could have been beautiful if her face had not been twisted with fury. She smashes the jug to the floor and knocks the table over with a furious kick. She hits the wall, tears an axe off of it, and it furiously cuts the furniture to splinters. Bullies, pissants, scums, I won't let them win again. You patiently look at Freya without saying a word. She finally stabs the axe into the larch wall with one throw and turns to you. Listen, Timon. The fact that you got yourself killed means that I've lost a bet with the other gods. And how much I hate to lose. I hate it so much that I'll break the rules in a moment. I'll turn back time a little bit. Send you back. Remember, the last event did not happen at all. And don't you dare show up dead again, or I'll be responsible for my actions. You feel that new strength arises within you. Your health increases to 20 points. The room blurs in front of you. You're amazed, and after a while, this is actually really cool. Overnight at the crossroads. You're standing at a crossroads. Dusk is falling, and soon everything will be covered in darkness. As soon as the eye can see, only white plains spread into the distance. There's neither a tree nor a bush. You'll be camping here. It's good that you brought firewood with you. You shovel snow and light a fire. The sun hides behind the horizon. Somewhere afar, wolves are howling. Also, we got back up to 20 points when we met Freya. We could stay awake and guard the fire, or we could go to sleep to be rested and ready for tomorrow's journey. Let's stay awake. You add wood to the bonfire. Wrap yourself in bearskin. Roll the dice. But no matter the score, keeping watch over a bonfire through the whole night is very tiresome. Deduct 2 points to your health. So 1, 2, or 3, we go to 96. The score is different. Interesting way to say that. Go to 95. 95. You wake the next day. You get yourself together and read the signs on the milestone in the morning light. Choose the direction you want to go in. North, south, east, or west. We'll do that next time. That was really interesting. I thought I was just at the particular starting point, but no, we went and died completely. Got revived by a goddess. And now we're in the middle of the book, which is crazy. But yeah, there's just a taste of Stormweavers. We'll do a little bit more if you like it. If you checked out this video, I say thanks so much. It's awesome that you did. And if you want to see more, we'll keep going. This is pretty cool. But thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time on Save Your Game. Bye.